All right.
What did it say there?
It's just saying that we're going. Welcome to TikTok Live.
Oh, that whole. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it low. I should just. I shouldn't have messed with it
But
when I should have. Okay. All right. Hello, Starseeds and magical friends, and welcome to the Truth, Beauty, Freedom, and Love Show. I have my friend Joanne here.
Hi.
We are going to talk comic books, which is why I have like my half Miss Captain America cosplay going on, and we're going to talk about comic books and stories from a perspective of what, you know, inspired us as children.
Yes.
And then how those stories have actually helped us or impacted us today. And then we're going to do some fun little, I don't even want to call it like connecting the dots between actors and the different mantles that they have carried. So like, for example, R.I.P. James Earl Jones, who was the voice actor of very many epic characters that are beloved to us.
Yes.
So we'll get to that within the show. Okay. But first of all, Joanne, how are you today?
I'm okay, keeping on. Just trying to stay stable.
Astrologically, it's pretty crazy, so I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. Hello, everybody.
Did we have enough clips yet?
Sorry. Which clip?
Oh,
I was going to have clips, but since we're doing
No, eclipse, because you said it was astrologically it was pretty chaotic.
Oh, yeah, astrologically it is chaotic. So let me just push this way. Hi, everybody. Hello, welcome.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry, I'm just like marveling at the fact.
I know.
My goodness, it's like people,
this
hi.
is my friend Joanne. She's never been on TikTok Live before, so welcome her to the live stream. So we talk about I'm usually in cosplay. I'm in half cosplay right now. But Joanne's a dragon warrior as well, you guys. And she's a writer. And you are a writer. Okay. No more thwarted writers commentary.
I'm a writer.
You are a writer. And all of you out there, you know how much I love art and how much art will save the world. Art will change the world. And then we stand on the shoulders of giants when it comes to storytelling. And especially right now when we talk about the chaotic nature of the cosmos, there's a lot of dream activation.
Yes.
Let's put it this way. So Neptune is in the Omega area of the zodiac, which is the 29th degree of Pisces, which is, let's see here. Oh, I'm marveling at these marvelous ladies.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Oh my God.
You guys are really.
That's a really nice welcome for my first time.
I have the best audience.
Yes.
I really, really do, and we all love. I have some Deadpool comic books to share with you guys. We're going to get into some Deadpool and Marvel stuff because my friend Joanne here is a big fan of Marvel's first family, which is the Fantastic Four. So could you give me some background into the Fantastic Four from your lens and why you love them?
So I grew up without my dad. So I grew up with my mom, but my mom told him to leave, but he left things behind. So some of them were gentleman magazines, but they were very early issues of the Fantastic Four. Oh, wow. So that was my connection to my dad. There was also, I think, 2 issues of Captain Marvel. So I think there was 4 issues of Fantastic Four.
So Captain Marvel?
Marvel, yes.
Captain Marvel.
And then there was, I think, in that issue, one of the ones that I recollect was that there was a trial, that Marvel had fallen out of favor. He liked the humans too much, and then he was about to be disciplined.
Okay. Yes.
But it wasn't as dynamic for me as the Fantastic Four, with the fact that there was a team, that they were fraught. Yes. Ben Grimm was stuck as a rock. I
love Ben Grimm. So what a sweetheart.
I did too, and I remember it was his girlfriend, and then it was Sue, and Sue I think was going into labor.
Okay. Yes.
And so and then Galactus was there, and then it was also the Silver Surfer was approaching.
Okay. So let's ground everybody because Fantastic Four has been done as it's telling me I have an unstable connection. So you guys, let me know if we lose you. We'll just reconnect. But if people aren't familiar with the Fantastic Four, who are the Fantastic Four? Yes, let's go through them first.
So we have Reed Richards. We have Sue Storm. We have her brother Johnny, and then we have Ben Grimm.
Yes. Okay. And so, do we know all the times Fantastic Four has been done in like movie form?
So we have the Fantastic Four that had.
Was there like any old movies done? Fantastic
no, I don't
Four?
think so. No, I think the first franchise was the first 3 films that had. Oh my goodness, I can never remember the actor who played.
Do you guys remember the? Yes, there was. Was there an old movie? Someone's saying that there is an old Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, from what year do you know? Because I only know the first.
Animated. He's saying animated.
Oh.
There's an animated Fantastic Four.
Oh,
Yeah,
we need
so-
details because I would like to see that. So
Yes.
we did as a family. We did the first three movies because I think the Silver Surfer was the third film. Then I wanted to see the one that had I'll never call him by his real name, Killmonger.
Killmonger.
Yes, I'll always call him.
Who is Killmonger?
From Black Panther.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
He played Johnny Storm, and then he and Sue Storm were adopted. And I just discovered that because this was the twist for me, that their dad was African American, so Sue was brought into the family, not the other way around.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why, and so that became that because I've only done the reading. So that's the one I would love to be able to see. And now I'm invested in the next set to see what they're going to do, how they're going to be pulled into the Marvel universe. And then I'm not sure how I feel about.
I don't know how I feel like about. Let's see here. That's the one in What If. Oh, there's a series of animated shorts. I'll send you some where they do like what ifs. They have like what if Thor fought Captain Marvel, that kind of situation. So like these different imaginary scenarios between the characters.
Got it. Okay.
And like what would happen. But going back to Fantastic Four, when I was reading the history of the Marvel Universe to all of you guys here on TikTok, a big character in that was Franklin Richards.
Yes.
Which is Sue Storm and Reed Richards' son.
Yes.
And he creates a pocket universe in one of the storylines where all of the superheroes escape to.
Yes.
When I forget what happens, but he can do this. He's very powerful. That's all to say that Franklin Richards is a very powerful mutant. I think that's what they define him as.
Okay.
Which is interesting, right?
But is he really a mutant?
Would he be? Good question. They're asking, who's your favorite Marvel character? They actually have comics. Yeah. Who's your favorite Marvel character?
Mine?
Joanna? Yeah. The people want to know.
Because of the movies.
Mine changes every time you guys ask me that question.
It is. So, I remember when I first went to the theaters and I saw X-Men and it was like, okay, wow, Wolverine. But it's not.
Oh, interesting. That grabbed.
Yes, Wolverine grabbed me.
Wolverine grabbed you.
But over time and seeing all the films now, my kids tell me that I'm wholesome, and I really like Captain America.
I love Cap too. That's why
I
I always feel like I need to dress like his Cap when I'm near you.
He's just such a good person, and then
he's a good guy.
He is, and Chris Evans knows how important this good guy who represents America.
He's Johnny Storm too. What the heck?
But his Johnny Storm is so cocky, right? His Johnny Storm is really kind of cocky.
Think about it this way: it's almost like Johnny Storm went through an evolution and became Captain America.
Yes.
It's like younger Chris Evans was that more cocky kind of like persona that could carry that.
But then I don't know if any of you have seen Deadpool 3, but then we all have. Those of us who have seen Deadpool 3 know stuff.
Yes. So that's a good segue into the concept of the multiverse within Marvel.
Yes.
Because when I read the history of the Marvel Universe, the way that the story is told is through a conversation between Galactus and Franklin Richards.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically Galactus is handing the mantle over of the helmet to Franklin Richards because the universe is ending.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So, but things don't end. It's a restart, right?
Yes.
So Franklin Richards is going to be the harbinger of that energy and bring that to the next world so that they will all remember the stories of all the superheroes that came before. So that you
almost like a mythology?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Kind of, yeah. And so
I'll have to read this.
Yes. It's here in the library somewhere. Someone I think took it out. But
okay, next time.
There's a comic series called Age of Apocalypse. I am not as familiar with Apocalypse as a villain, but a lot of you guys are like big fans of Apocalypse.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So going back to like the multiverse and the first family and Deadpool and even the Marvel universe in general and how it's been done through the movies.
Yes.
Right? Because Sony, I think, had the rights to Fantastic Four.
Yes.
And that's why it was problematic and you didn't have like these
crossovers. There was no cohesion between the two. So it was almost like the Fantastic Four was this totally different entity. They did not exist in the Marvel universe, which is why it's big that this new movie's coming out because that will
connect it.
Yes.
So that story, how do you think they're going to pull Dr. Doom, who looks exactly like Iron Man, into...
Right, that's trash. I'm sorry. It's trash. It's such trash.
It's lazy.
It's so lazy.
And you know what? Dr. Doom is actually a formidable villain. He's the equivalent to Lex Luthor in DC to me.
Yes.
Where it's like this intellect and this like craving to not conquer just this world, but to like conquer all of it.
And I think that Robert Downey Jr. could play him. I just don't want. I just wanted him to be dedicated to one.
Yeah,
right. Just because we have Tony Stark, who's a bit of an asshole, and then we have Doctor Doom, whoever is going to be. And I know he's not going to be necessarily be Tony Starkish, but it's just I just don't.
There is more complexity to Doctor Doom's villainy, and I was telling you guys this too before. How every hero, you need a equivalent villain in that story to make it worthy.
Yes,
you know, like the villain needs to be a worthy opponent situation, right? And so that hero has to rise to a certain occasion in order to meet it. And so if the villain's not well crafted, or it's very like one-sided, or like you're basically taking like this like arrogance from Iron Man and like pasting it onto Dr. Doom.
And people have expectations now about the performance. I don't know a lot about Pedro Pascal, but I know this a little bit. So I'm not necessarily sure. He seems kind of soft.
Oh, wait, who is he playing again?
He's playing Reed.
Oh, wait, what?
Yes, thank you. He's supposed to be playing Reed Richards.
Oh, no.
Yes,
I don't know about that.
So that's why, like, it's like he calls himself, he wants to be the daddiest of the daddies, and I'm like, I'm not sure.
What does he mean by that?
I'm not sure, but I think he recognizes that he's got the dad bod and all of the things, and so he fits into a very specific niche.
He has a dad bod.
I think he does, and he's he's not the typical attractive person, and I think he recognizes that he's not typically attractive, but he's still something that is engaging.
Pedro Pascal will always be Oberyn to me in Game of Thrones.
And I never saw Game of Thrones.
Oh, you never watched?
No.
No, you should never watched Game
No,
of Thrones.
It's dismal. I remember I'm wholesome, so I can't.
Well, his death is pretty tragic.
Everybody's death is pretty tragic.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
And there's my problem with Game of Thrones is but what I have watched, there's no hope. And I can't see any hope. So in the end, when it's all over, I just expect the ocean to open and Westeros just to fall right in. And it's just gone. Like there's nothing. There's no.
I get what you're saying.
There's no redeeming arc, and you know, if you are a good person, I'm pretty sure at some point you either
Thrones,
die.
For me, I was a big reader of like high fantasy growing up, right? So science fiction, but of course like fantasy, like the Death Gate series, if anyone's familiar with that, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, a lot of RPG. So like high fantasy. The issue I had with Game of Thrones was just that it was very political, and I guess that's the point. Like that's why people who liked it, but like to me, I was like, there's just not enough like dragons or magic. So give me more warging with the wolves.
So you wanted more. So Game of Thrones.
I want more magic in my Game of Thrones.
So Game of Thrones is also strategic. It's a book about a game of chess.
Yes.
And so then you can't, we're not allowed to feel anything about the bishop or the rook or anything. So they're just moving, and they have very specific ways that they move. Yeah, but we can't. A great way to put it. But we can't. We're not really compelled to appreciate or think or it's just, I know exactly what you mean. It's not. I don't feel any warm or loving thoughts, and every time I might. Possibly, I'm just like, oh, that's really unfortunate.
Okay, so let's loop. Oh, thanks for the likes, guys. Hello, welcome. So just if you are new or if you just joined on TikTok, I'm interviewing my very good friend Joanne here. Hello. She's a Leo, by the way, so you know, with a Taurus moon, and I'm a Taurus.
And a Gemini rising, which is why I talk all the time and everything's
yes. So my Gemini moon resonates with that, so that we've got a lot in common that
that bounces off each other.
Yeah, that like electrify each other. And so we're talking about comic book stories because Joanne loves the Fantastic Four. And I didn't give my answer as today who my favorite Marvel character. Who is your favorite Marvel character?
It's Captain America. Yes, I am moved by Wolverine. I'm touched by his story. But I
love it. I wouldn't have guessed Wolverine for some strange reason.
Yes, it's Wolverine. But on the whole, it's the Captain.
I love Captain America. And so the comic books that I read growing up that had to do with Marvel that I liked the most were the ones that were crossover ones, right? Yes. So anytime, let's say, the Avengers had to work with, like, the X-Men, or you had to, like, pull in, like, anytime you had, like, these different dynamics of characters interplaying with each other was, like, fun for me. So I loved Storm, right?
Yes.
Storm, when I was watching the 90s X-Men, I was like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. And I want to be you one day. I don't know how.
Because she also had that gravitas, right?
Oh, yeah. And her voice actor in that 90s show was the bomb.com. Aurora Monroe, just that like.
Yeah, it was
she's a goddess.
It was deep, darkened honey. That was her voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that Eartha Kitt. That vibe. And so it keeping it to Marvel, though, I do love, who was I saying before? Jean Grey has grown on me appreciation-wise, but I still have Psylocke for some reason. Okay. Yeah, like just random characters like that, because they were like characters that weren't necessarily, and it's probably why Wolverine intrigues you. Like Psylocke's also got a she's in my, tonight I'm going to be Jean Grey, and I'm reading a Jean Grey comic. Okay. And Psylocke is actually much more magical than people think. Yeah, so she's got, her power comes from Merlin. Okay. She's actually related to Captain Britain. In that way, right? Because she appears to be an Asian assassin, but inside she's actually Betsy Braddock, which is like a white woman. And she gets her like consciousness switched or put into, yeah. So it's this like, And there's a lot to do with like time travel, and Psylocke does a lot with Rachel Summers, which is Jean Grey's and Scott Summers' daughter from the future timeline. And her name being Rachel also means like, of course, that's a tell for me. So what the heck is going on? So I loved Psylocke for that reason, just because she's and I had a comic book where Deadpool was basically hitting on Psylocke when they were fighting. Ew. Like, I know, he was like, they're fighting with swords, and she's like, and he's like, oh, you're so hot. Like, oh my gosh, Betsy.
Yeah, so he's the type that if you got close enough, he'd put his tongue in her ear. He's just that gross.
Yeah, and then she's like giving him sass. He's like, I used to think I was a comic book character, but I'm over that now. Psylocke is underrated, 100%, right?
There's two things I noticed. So the other character I would like, I love the Thing. I love Ben Grimm, and one of the issues was when Reed took away the thingness, and he's.
What do you mean the thing?
Well, he was human, and then he had to make a choice, and I never got the next issue. So it was like, and I remember the last thing going, the next issue, the Thing no more, and Ben is there. He's only got like these little shorts on, holding them up, and we can see, so we know he has to make the decision. Clearly, he chose the Thing, but I never got to read that issue.
That's such an interesting thing, right? Because like when the Fantastic Four get their powers, right, and this is why. Perhaps Franklin Richards is not a mutant because your parents weren't mutants.
No.
Or like your parents were like changed at a fundamental molecular level.
Yes.
And so you are now just like almost like a new human.
Yes, but you're not necessarily what they tell mutant.
Yeah, with the X gene.
But I think all the normies, and I'll use the word, are probably lazy, right? So as long as you're weird and you can do something that they can't do, you've become a mutant.
They define you as a mutant.
Yes, it's like you have one drop of that weirdness, and so of course you can. Yes. The other thing I've noticed is that you picked all female. You have a lot of females, and I have no females.
Whoa! I just thought of that.
Yeah. That's the only male. I don't know what that means. I have to say though, I do love Wanda. I love Wanda. I love the Red Witch.
Wait, I'm late to the seminar. Sorry. That's the real name. The Thing's real name is Ben something.
Ben Grimm.
Yes. Yeah, Ben Grimm is the Thing's real name.
Yeah, Ben Grimm.
And I remember reading a comic book where it was like the Thing versus the Hulk.
And they always
tried to do that, right?
And they've
Hulk
always
versus the Thing. Let's put that in the chat. Who wins, the Thing versus the Hulk?
Well, Ben Grimm doesn't like the Hulk, and there's always
he doesn't.
No, and there's always at least once upon a time, and there'd be things where Ben Grimm would be like I think he saw once he encounters the She-Hulk, and he didn't realize that it was a different person, and he was like. Hulk, that's really weird, my friend. It was that kind of.
He thought the She-Hulk was like Hulk, and was like, you're just going through something.
Yeah, like I don't know what you're doing, green thing, but that's just not cool. Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so let's bring this back around to. So actually, there's something there with why you chose masculine characters.
Yes,
I love my male characters, right? Like I do love Wolverine. Like when I did Jean Grey, you guys always ask me like, who do I choose? And I choose Wolverine. And I think we talked about
I choose Cyclops.
She chose and you know what? I do love Cyclops too. I just feel like me now, Rachel in 2024. Chooses Logan wholeheartedly because I also realize that's who like I am as a character.
Got it.
In terms of like the characters I cosplay, I will typically cosplay ones that I have resonance with.
Yes.
So Jean Grey I have resonance with. Miss Captain America,
Yes.
right? The counterpart to Captain America I have resonance with. So I guess Cap counts.
Yes.
But who else? Like Supergirl, Batgirl, Cortana. Like these characters, I see aspects of me in them.
Yes.
Which is why when people ask me like, "Oh, would you like cosplay as Harley Quinn?" I'm like, I don't really
Yes.
resonate with that character, but I'm not against me as Batgirl being friends with a Harley Quinn.
Understood.
Right?
Understood. Whereas Harley Quinn is interesting for me because I used to work at the Department of Chemical Engineering, and
crazy!
Yes,
Yeah.
and so she is with the Joker, and the Joker is believed to have been a chemical engineer. There is a theory that he's a chemical engineer.
Let's come back to the Joker. Let's see here. Did you see Hulk in all their forms, like Red Hulk? Hey guys, hello.
No. I live under
Cyclops
a rock.
was a great leader. Oh, thanks for the gift. Thank you. Okay.
Oh wait, what was that little thing?
That was a little gift that they give you.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they sometimes I did a read last night, and like it was like a bear.
It looked like a Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, and then like this bear came and like hugged me from behind, and I looked. I was like, I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in a video game. It's like
that's cute.
Really crazy,
that is very, very cute.
Just to let you know, Joanne, my chat and my community is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to comic books.
Which is great because then I will learn more because I only did like little spurts.
But like that's the thing about the multiverse. Though.
Yes.
That's like, and I think that's a great way for us to segue into the Deadpool stuff. So, I haven't seen Deadpool 3. Drop in the chat if you have seen Deadpool 3 with Wolverine. My hubby was telling me just this little tidbit because we're doing a Green Lantern thing on Friday. Show you guys that. The Green Lantern. And look, Violet Lantern right there. Like, so the Violet Lanterns represent love and the Green Lanterns represent will, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so there's this prophecy of the OA, Alpha Omega, right?
Okay.
And so that at some point in time...
Wait, the OA or the AO?
OA.
Okay.
Omega Alpha.
Okay, I was like, wait a second, that's
Yeah,
that's
time
the
is not linear.
That's the ADHD in me going. Wait a second,
I don't know where I
that's
am
not
in time space half the time.
But that's just my ADHD because I'm like, that's not.
Oh my gosh! So Joanne here is a very fixed sign, and we relate a lot because of our Taurus energy as well as like being Leo. I love Leos. Like
yes.
can I just say like just because Leo's my signature sign. Your signature sign is when you the first planet to enter your chart. Your signature sign is actually either Libra or Taurus because Venus is the first planet to enter your chart.
Okay.
Which is why we relate because think about it. My signature sign's a Leo and yours is like so we are like an alchemical marriage in friendship. So so think about that when you think about your friends. And when I was doing, let's see here. How do I feel about Capricorn? Capricorn's an earth sign, right? And it's also one of those signs I think that gets along well with intense signs like Tauruses and Leos.
Yes.
However, those are all very strong energies, so sometimes they can like butt heads a little bit, right?
I was with the Capricorn.
Oh, yes.
I was with the Capricorn. So I was with the Capricorn, and
Do you know any other parts of his chart at all, like his moon sign?
No. Okay, that was he may have done all of his investigations, but as a Capricorn, he didn't share.
Okay,
so
very close to his heart.
Yes, and so there was that. Good.
I'm also Trinidadian. Oh, I love Trinidad. I visited Trinidad in 2019 or so. Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Kevin had a client there, and so we got to like.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I love Trinidad. Great dancers, great food, great people, amazing beaches. Yes. Yeah.
I have not been, but I have not been back home at all, so I don't know what it's like. I just know. I've heard everybody else talk about it, but I don't know what it is.
That's coming soon, though.
Yeah.
I have a vision. Okay, what is home? We are in Toronto right now. Yes. Toronto, which is kind of interesting, right? Because we're in the library right now. Yeah. The library where I grab all my comic books next door, in their like recording studio. And so I wanted to get Joanne in here because we both share a deep love of reading.
Yes.
Like like a real like digital copies of things. I can't. You have to Kindles. I can't do Kindles.
No, I would rather hold the book. It was so funny. Somebody lent me a copy of Roots, and that will tie into James Earl Jones. But then she asked for it back, and somebody else wanted to read it, and it was like a hard copy. It was a hardcover copy original. So
wow.
and so I wasn't really doing much with it because I wasn't going to walk out with it. But then if somebody else wants to read it, I gave it back to her, and she was like, "Do you have Libby? Could you do?" And I was like, "No, I'm just gonna go and look for a secondhand copy because I have to touch it, and it's not."
You gotta like feel like.
And the library's not gonna get it back
yeah.
if I take it out. It's just gonna stay with me, and then
it's just mine now.
It's mine, yeah, and it's because I'm always constantly reading it, or I'm reading it slower, so it doesn't make sense.
Oh, let's see here. Foreigners. Hot. Every time I tell most people I'm a Gemini, they give me attitude. So I'm a Gemini moon, and my friend here, Joanne, is a Gemini rising. But Geminis do have that reputation of being two-faced, right?
I don't like the two-faced. Even when I've dealt with Geminis, I feel that they control.
Like, what?
I feel that they because they have two aspects of themselves, they're bouncing back and forth.
I'm gonna massage that a little bit because I have a lot of Geminis in my life, and I think it's because there's this, we are multifaceted beings. No different than when you ask me like who my favorite comic book character is. I'm like, well, one day it's this and one day is that. It doesn't make each of those answers disingenuous. Yes. Because those are both true. Yes. Right? So I think with Geminis there's a bit more because they're mutable, because and I think in your chart it helps to give a bit more ease to your fixed Leo, fixed fire, and fixed earth, where you can have a bit more of like, hey, I can like be a little bit more flexible in this way. I can be a bit more mutable. I can like fit to have ease in conversation.
Yes, and I can be motivated to start a change because of the Gemini. Because in the end, I would rather just not. Oh, look, there's change. Hi, change.
But I think also like with Geminis, you do have great magic capability, and what I mean by that is that the word, communication, thought, all of that is Gemini, Hermes domain, and we are still in Virgo season right now, which is also ruled by Mercury. Yes, and so this idea of Mercury as a god, Hermes as a god. I actually have like my winged ankles too, right? Yes. I got my winged ankles tattooed on me for my birthday in 2020 by I'm gonna have her on the show, Lorena, because she's actually dating a comic book artist right now. Oh, that's cool. And she cosplays as Black Cat. So so I'll have her on. She's from Cuba, tattoo artist. She's an amazing artist. She does a lot of stuff freehand. And when I told her I wanted winged ankles, she's like, oh, Mercury, perfect, right? A messenger of the gods. Yes. So think about that. But Mercury and Hermes, in a lot of the stories of the myths, he's also plays two roles. He gives humanity Pandora's box. Yes. Right? As a test, and we fail it. Yes. Yes. But then don't forget, she also, at the end, she still opens the box to let hope out. That's right. So that's the duality of Gemini, though, right? Yes. So this idea of, like, it's not... Venus is a lot more benevolent when it comes to things, although Venus does have a dark side. But Mercury, Gemini, is like there is this mutability, and this is why I think too, like villain and hero depends on where you're standing sometimes, and Gemini understands that. Yes, and sometimes people don't, and there's an assumption that people would, and they don't. See, and I think it's interesting also because if I was thinking about what we think about God, the Father, that's more mercurial than it is Zeus-like, because that's an interesting. Because also, first of all, he's fixed, and we assume that he's angry, but we have the freedom of will, and we have all of these different changes. And even when you look at the Bible and you think, okay, it's this very specific thing, it's not. There's a lot of other things that are going on. You know, we understand that is it Saul? Who's the one who killed the general to be able to be with his wife? Was it David? Oh, but you know what I mean. And then God was angry, but all the characters in that book have this type of freedom, and God does it as well. You know, God creates this rule that you're not supposed to touch the fruit of the tree, but at the same time, when Cain kills Abel, and Cain is now upset, then God sort of tells Cain, well, you know what, no one's going to touch you. Whereas he could have just wiped him off the face of the earth, right? But that would be like a Zeus sort of thing. We're just going to destroy you. But God still gives chances and recognizes, even though he's not necessarily happy with it, that there's all of these other things that are going on in the story. I feel like we can kind of conflate God with like guy in the clouds. Yes, a lot of the time. And so there's I think more to like that symbolism than that can possibly be encapsulated in one story, which is
Yes.
why even if we go back to like the multiverse and bringing this back to Deadpool, not Deadpool specifically,
But that.
but the fact that this movie, I've just noticed there's a lot of movies that talk about the multiverse, right?
Yes.
There's just a lot.
Yes.
Right, I've just noticed a lot. And
But is it because of Marvel?
I don't know, because I love this show. I don't know if you guys know the show called Sliders back in the day.
I remember
You remember
Sliders. Oh my gosh, with Jerry O'Connell.
Yeah, I had such a crush on him. He was so cute.
Yes. That was a great
Sliders, you guys. So Sliders, I forget what happens, but they have like that device.
Yes,
and
and
they
they're
open
always
up a
trying to.
portal.
Yeah, and they're always trying to get back to their regular time.
They're trying to get back to home, right?
Yes.
But then they go through all these different like dimensions and timelines, and so like where those actually are in time space, I don't really know.
It's like Quantum Leap.
Yes, it is like Quantum Leap. Yes. Talk to Kevin about Quantum Leap. He loves Quantum Leap.
Does he love Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
I made fun of when it first came out. I made fun of it. My friend Margaret loved that show, and I was like, la. And then it went on.
Then you loved it.
Yeah, I saw it in syndication, and I was like, I'm such
You
a
got
bad.
hooked. You got
I'm
hooked.
such a bad friend.
So what's the difference between Quantum Leap and Sliders?
I can't remember what caused Scott Bakula's character to have to jump around into different things, and I can't remember if he was trying to get back to a particular time. I think he was, but I don't know what was the cause of it. And then he was in other people, so he was sort of fixing things. It's almost like that show with Jessica on CBC. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly.
Why can't I think about it?
But then in the end, we sort of understand that maybe there's heavenly interference with Scott Bakula's character as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great segue into. So like, there's these concepts of different realities.
Yes.
Different multiverses, and so I just finished watching Terminator Zero, which is like this anime, which takes place in the Terminator universe.
Okay.
But in Japan.
Oh.
And so there's not just Skynet, there's this other AI called Kokoro, which
is it connected to Skynet?
It is. She goes to battle against Skynet. So these
Why?
two AIs fight each other because it's too complicated. I can't explain this whole thing right now, but I'm going to give you, for the relevance of this conversation, what happens in there is that they explain time travel in a very elegant way, in the sense of when you go back into time, you go back and you make a new branch.
Yes.
Right? You're not, like, you can't go back and alter your past that's already happened. So that paradox of, like, going back in time and killing your grandfather, or like in Looper, if you've ever seen that movie with Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
No.
And they're basically like assassinating a guy, and like they cut off his nose in the past, and so in real time it's like he's like disintegrating.
Oh.
It's like, so like that.
But that'd also be like 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis.
Kind of, yeah. So Bruce Willis did some crazy, like time travel stuff, and so I don't think time travel is like that unless you believe it to be in that particular storyline.
Yes, but what you're saying is that it's a branch, and it can go into other branches, but it can't necessarily go and affect that same branch.
Yeah, you're now like in a whole new timeline because you've never gone back in time before, have you?
Yeah, so it would be like
it's
like Planet of the Apes when they go back. They don't really, they go back, but not quite.
Yes, you're making a new dimension. You're making a new. It's a whole new timeline, which is a whole new dimension, a whole new reality. Yes, right. So, bringing that back to Deadpool, right? So Kevin was telling me, like, synopsis wise for Deadpool, we haven't watched it yet.
But I've seen the third one.
Yes.
I haven't watched 1 and 2.
But I have watched 1 and 2, and I have watched Green Lantern, which is the movie that brought Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds together.
Okay.
And they are redoing Green Lantern.
Okay.
And they are casting Thanos as...
James Brolin?
James Brolin is going to be Hal Jordan Green Lantern as old Hal Jordan Green Lantern. So I don't know what this is with like villains being recast as heroes. I don't understand why that. It's to confuse things, I think, symbolically in people's heads. I don't know. I don't like it.
Possibly, yeah. There could be some other objective in terms of, but also in terms of what they'd hope that they can create, right? So then you can always there's like blurred lines.
Yeah, and then there's also different Green Lanterns, right? Are you familiar with Green Lantern?
No.
No. Okay, so I'm not going to mix it because we're talking Marvel here, but that's a separate thing. Catch that on tomorrow. We do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow's Green Lantern stuff because my husband's Maltese, right? And Malta, and there's like strange connections between stuff with the temples in Malta and symbolism in Green Lantern.
Oh, no way.
There totally is. I figured it out, you guys. We're going to activate this planet.
So do they have the caves?
They do have caves. So it's done in a different way. There's a whole planet, a sentient planet, and there's this concept of the guardians, right? And the guardians of the cosmos, and there's all these different sectors. And the different lights, the different rings represent things of the electro-emotional spectrum of light. So you have love, which is violet, will, which is green, orange, which is greed, yellow, which is fear, white, which is, I forget, it's like all of them, black, which is like absence of them. I'm missing, indigo is compassion.
Okay.
And blue is hope.
Interesting.
Yes. Oh, and red is anger.
Okay, which is
Rage.
like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and so the concept is, the prophecy is that at a certain point in time, all of the rings or the light will go to battle against each other.
Okay.
There'll be this huge war, and they will end up with the blackest night.
Okay.
Yes. And then from the blackest night, though, there will be the brightest day.
Of course,
because that's what always happens, you guys. So whenever things seem
darkest,
tough and hard and dark,
it's
usually like Gandalf is coming.
Yeah.
Down the
yes,
don't worry,
Aslan,
hold the line.
Yes, Aslan's coming. Yes,
Aslan's coming. Don't worry, there's hope. You just gotta hold the line. And whatever that means on a personal level, I think is the message that I get in my dreams for everybody, and that's why we're even having this conversation, because the stories that we have in us, like for example, I will have read a comic like 5 times. Like I have different collections that I read out on TikTok. Some that are like mine that I purchased. Some that were gifts, and some that are just like that found me.
Yes.
Right. And then of course I have my library ones. But I'll have read one multiple times. But the moment I read it out loud, it changes.
Okay.
And I'll literally see stuff that I'm like, I don't remember this.
Yes.
Or I don't remember reading it this way. And it's just because the way the comic is. You can choose, like I make mistakes sometimes, right? Where I'm like, I'm going to go this way, when really you're supposed to go like this.
Way. Yes.
But that's okay.
Or it's like a this, and a this.
Yeah,
and then
So like, in which order are you supposed to read the panels? And sometimes you don't know that until you start reading it.
Yes.
And then it's like this interactive experience of you and your own consciousness as you're going through it. And sometimes the mistake in reading it actually tells you something true.
Yes. Okay. That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, so every time you read it, it's like something new. And so, do you have any comic books specifically, Joanne, that like have like, it doesn't have to be a specific comic book, let's say like a story that like you remember in comics that like, off the top of your head, like.
Well, when I think about comics, I remember, because I always was sympathetic to Ben Grimm. There was a special issue where they they talk about his past, and then I discovered that his background was actually Jewish, whereas I didn't think so. I always thought.
So how did that come up in the story?
I don't know why he was walking back through his old neighborhood.
Okay.
And then I guess he started remembering his childhood and things that were happening to him.
Are the Fantastic Four in New York City?
I believe so, yes.
And the thing about the Fantastic Four, too, is that, like, they don't really have secret identities.
No, everybody knows
they're like celebrities.
Yes, right? And they're laid bare.
Yeah, and so that's a big difference between Marvel and DC.
Yes.
Right? Like your identity split. Like, you don't let the two lives touch.
Yes.
Right? They're very separate.
Superman is Clark Kent. Batman is Bruce Wayne.
And there's this.
Yes, the Catwoman is and I forgot Chief Gordon's daughter. But it's that same thing. But yes, Batgirl.
Barbara Gordon.
Thank you.
Miss Babs.
Yes. They all. Yes.
It's very separate.
Yes.
And so no one knows. Like even Commissioner Gordon doesn't know that his daughter is Batgirl.
Yes.
Right. And even Batman and Robin don't even know who Batgirl is. But that's separation. But in Fantastic Four, when I was reading the history of the Marvel Universe, they basically said that Reed's motivation for doing it was because he felt so bad about like what happened.
Yes.
That you become beloved superheroes.
So I have another question, because I always feel that when I'm reading DC, as opposed to Marvel, so Marvel always feels like it's out there, and there's all of these things, and there are different kind of universes, and I always feel that with DC, the characters and the problems are very human. They're very grounded in
I feel like they're more psychological in a
right?
sense.
Yeah, like they've been wounded in very, very different ways. Even like you could look at Tony Stark, and he's had a hard relationship with his parents, but it's not the same kind of suffering or tragedy that Jor-El has, or that Bruce Wayne has. Like it's just not. Even with what was the Shazam? Was it Shazam?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like you know who's in
Captain Marvel, the other Captain
yes,
Marvel.
right. You know, and then it's just very very different. Like I think the closest one we would have would be Spider-Man and him losing his uncle. Yeah. Right, that's the closest thing to the feeling of the kind of
trauma.
The trauma.
Yeah, DC deals a lot with like trauma and like coming from being in a dark place.
Yes, exactly. And I feel that the only one who really has had that, from what all we've been exposed to, is Spider-Man. Right, he's had.
I do feel like Spider-Man's a big favorite of
yes.
a lot of people.
Yes,
I don't personally resonate with Spider-Man, although my memory of Spider-Man is that there was an animated show of Spider-Man.
That was lame. It was
not the first one.
Not the ones with the
Spider-Man.
Yeah, does what Daniel Spider can. Yeah,
not that one.
Okay.
There was one that was like, oh my gosh, was it in the 90s? It's kind of like when Reboot was around. You know, like when they did animation. So this was what I love about Canada, because YTV back in the day had these shows that were like CGI computer animation. So there was this Spider-Man series. I need to find it.
You do, because I don't remember that. Because at the same time,
that was a really good job of.
Because that's when Batman came back.
Yeah, and it actually had like crossovers with like the Punisher, because the Punisher doesn't like Spider-Man. Oh, right? The Punisher thinks that Spider-Man's a criminal.
Yes.
But it also did. I remember like Spider-Man like helped the X-Men out. And there was like an episode where like Storm came. Like, it was like a.
I would like to see that too.
I will find it. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. There was an animated Spider-Man show, I think in the late 90s, early 2000s. That was kind of like a certain style of animation that was kind of CGI-ish.
Okay, yes.
So illustrated.
No, so I remember the Batman that came out in the 90s.
I remember that one too.
And then that was renowned because they used it was dark. Yeah. So they layered color onto the darkness as opposed to taking darkness away and bringing light. Like it was like it was very the style was very 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 specific. But but they were all tormented characters. Even when you met who did Croc, I was the animated one had the storyline for Croc was very very sad. The fact that he was community.
I agree with you that Marvel is a bit more. The subject matter is not as like dark as what DC is.
It's slick. Marvel is slick.
Yeah, and I think the movies, like we're now in this like period of time right now where we're also like affecting the past with the future.
Yes.
Right. So these movies that are being made with these characters, you're now also affecting the origin stories of some of these characters.
Yes.
So I don't know how I feel about that.
Yes.
And with Deadpool, Kevin was telling me the synopsis, and you can get into this more with me. We'll go into like deep dive into Deadpool and Wolverine, because I looked into Wolverine a lot just because of his healing factor. He's got a lot of stories where he gets to go to places that other people don't get to go. So that's cool. But in the movie Deadpool 3, I think the way the synopsis reads is that Deadpool is gifted by the Time Authority in Marvel to get a spot in the Marvel universe.
Yes, and he's also wanting this because of whatever happened in the second movie. So he's lost things in the second movie, and he's trying to fix it. I see. Okay. And so he's going to use this opportunity with the Time Authority and to be able to get what he wants.
Who is the Time Authority?
So did you watch Loki?
No.
So so Loki gets sort of.
So it's related to that.
Yeah. So that's the first time we see the Time Authority, and the Time Authority is sort of like it's almost like the FBI or the CIA, but of time and time streams and all of these things, and they're sort of monitoring everything.
Okay.
And so
they are kind of like the Guardians.
Kind of, but not quite.
Okay.
And
because it's specific to time too,
it's
right?
specific to time, and they are aware of all the different time streams and all, and so. We have this character in Deadpool who has charged him with this opportunity, and Deadpool has decided this is a good thing for him to take, and then we have to find out why has this been offered to him, and what are the ultimate.
So how is it offered to him? Why would so he wants to fix stuff?
Yes, and there's another thing that's being created. So do you want me to tell you anything, or you don't care?
I don't care.
Okay, so then the agent from
spoiler alert for
yes.
you guys if you haven't seen Deadpool 3.
Yes. So like everybody who's watched Loki, you know that Luke Wilson was the agent that dealt with Loki and all of the timelines and all the things that he was supposed to do. And then we have a different actor and a different agent who's dealing with Deadpool. Now, this character, it has his own nefarious reasons, and he's creating something that's going to, because I guess he wants to sort of take it over.
Okay.
And so he's actually using Deadpool to get to what's his name?
Okay. I need to look into this time authority.
Magneto's sister?
Okay.
No, it's not Magneto's sister. It's Xavier's sister, because she's crazed.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I know who you're talking about. I hate that chick.
But she was a very effective and she plays crazy very well. Like,
oh my gosh.
Say she plays.
I don't like her character in the comic books.
Okay, so
she's always betraying people if she's who I think she is.
Yes, and so she's like a bald female.
Yes. What's her name? Oh my gosh.
And so she has the same abilities that Xavier does, but she uses them for bad, and she's just mad, but she does things for the sake of just doing them and in her anger. And so, she wields her powers in very, very different ways than Charles ever would have. And so, I can't remember now, because Deadpool, the experience of Deadpool wasn't the happiest for me. So there are parts where I remember where she was interacting with the.
So in Deadpool 3, without giving out any spoilers, let's say, there is the concept of the multiverse.
Yes.
Why are Deadpool and Wolverine traversing the multiverse? What is the purpose of that?
So Deadpool needs something that fixes another timeline.
Okay.
And so he
That's an interesting.
Yes, and I haven't seen.
So he's doing this for the Time Authority to get something?
He's using this opportunity from the Time Authority to be able to fix the thing that he wants to fix.
Gotcha. Okay, now I understand.
Yes,
now,
and Wolverine is the best one for him to use for this. He needs assistance, and anything else I tell you then tells you too much.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's trying to, and then Wolverine is reluctant, and so now it takes convincing, and then there are other things that happen as well.
Okay.
And then there's a whole bunch of Ryan Reynolds and really different aspects of Deadpool.
So, do you guys like Ryan Reynolds as a character? Or I guess you could say he's like a character.
Yeah, character, actor, when you see him perform, are you kind of like, oh, yay, Ryan Reynolds?
You're so funny.
Sorry.
You're just staying underneath.
Yeah, it's like, I can't. Can't.
Ryan Reynolds, to me, Kevin said it best to me, is that, let's go into the actors as characters on the world stage of this world comic book. Because half of the reason why I read comic books live is also the meta way of looking at life, right? Because on some level somewhere, someone's reading a comic book about us right now.
Yes.
So from that perspective, there are certain actors that have held the mantle of characters that have been created and exist outside of time-space.
Yes.
And they are embodying them for a certain story, a certain time here, right?
Yes.
So, see here. Oh, hello people. Yes, hello new joiners. We're chatting all about comic books. We talked about Marvel, Fantastic Four a little bit, the differences between DC and Marvel.
Yes.
But now we're going to get into, we live in a time now, comic books are now movies too.
Yes.
Although we love comic books and the real analog pages, right?
Yes.
There is this concept of movie magic.
Yes.
And bringing
and embodying them.
Embodying that energy, right? So you and I both agree Chris Evans was a beautiful, wonderful Captain America.
He's wonderful.
He did such a wonderful, even how they made him skinny and frail, and he went to that transformation. And just
the things, and the fact that, and even when he's so earnest in fighting against Tony Stark. Do you know what I mean? All of the things where he's just and he's articulate and he's quiet, and even when he's angry, or there would be a moment where another character might sneer or swear. Yeah. Captain doesn't do that.
Cap doesn't swear.
No,
he's really like a 90-year-old man, right? Yes. And a beautiful body.
Yes. So. And then we have that. And then any of you who watched Deadpool 3, we all know what Chris Evans and Captain and all the things and the swearing, and not happy with it at all. Yes. Yes.
Let's leave that there.
Yes, there's stuff that, just not. And it was clever. I have to admit what they did in order for us to have this moment of swearing with Chris Evans was clever. I did not appreciate it.
You don't think that was true to what Cap's character was?
No, I don't think. Yes, and so this thing that they did to be able to have this moment, to be able for us to think that what we were thinking, for a movie executive or writers or puerile men who think that they're still 17 and they're smoked up and this is going to be a really great thing. I understand why it was done, but as a person who loved the character and who's wholesome, didn't appreciate this. And for me, I get the whole appeal of Deadpool, and I get the fact that he breaks the fourth wall, and I get the fact that he's not the typical character, but I feel that I don't appreciate the fact that he's a character that's designed to debase us and debase everything around us. Sorry, this is what I get from the movie, at least from the third movie. The third movie, I saw a Deadpool who could be nice or has potential, but on the whole, no matter what, his default is always to debase.
Well, I mean, I do have a lot of. I'm gonna read a Deadpool comic book. For my read at some point in time in the future, because I want me and hubby to do like Deadpool and Lady Deadpool, because there's a fun thing there about being meta about the whole thing. However,
and I think that's cool. And I think I appreciate and that kind of meta humor. That would be all things that I would appreciate. I don't know what it is about Deadpool. I don't know what it is about Ryan Reynolds' performance.
Ryan Reynolds to me, and Kevin said this best to me, is like it will always be Van Wilder.
Okay, you've
never seen Van Wilder.
I've never seen Van Wilder.
Has this whole type of like, let's see here, other characters like Wolverine call Deadpool out when he does something bad. Yes. What do you think of the average Joe being able to bring stories to life with the assistance of AI? Ooh, I think AI is a tricky slope, you guys. I think because even I always tell you guys this too. Like when it comes to the comic books, look at how many people are listed in the creation of it. Right? It's not just one person. So I think it's a beautiful collaboration. So even Joe Shuster worked with, I forget the other guy's name.
It's okay, it'll come to us.
It'll come to us later, yes. But it's a collaboration, one being the illustrator and one writing the character. Alan Moore didn't draw anything at all.
Yes, it would be the same thing like Neil Gaiman writing the story, but not necessarily drawing the images.
Yeah, so I encourage you to instead outsourcing to AI to do things. I think AI has a place in things like storyboarding, when you're trying to visualize. Like I've been a project manager, right? So like you're in the beginning stages where you're trying to like get what is in your head out. But I don't think it's meant to be a finished product.
No.
You know, I mean, I think it's meant to, like, help the creative process, but you shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm going to put all these prompts into AI and now I have a story.
Yes. So I don't know if any of you are writers. There's this thing called NaNoWriMo, where in November, it's like novel writing month, and so people can all get together. They have prompts on Twitter. You're just supposed to write. Whatever it is, you write and write and write and write. It might be this novel that you always wanted, but you're just supposed to write. And the organization said that they were going to accept AI. Now, I'm not exactly sure about all the things, but a lot of the people who have participated were very, very upset about the fact that, because it meant that they were welcoming AI into their midst, and it means that AI could then take what was ever inside there. And when I looked at that, I sort of felt the same. I feel that it's one thing to create, and you write and you do whatever, but if you wanted to use AI to fine tune, I'm okay. Like if you
editing,
exactly. If you wrote everything and then you went AI, can you fix the grammar, or whatever it is, or could you point? You can tell it. Does this make sense? And then have this come spit back out, and then you can go back and then go into the process. I'm okay with that, but that whole thing.
I feel like it's up to every creator where your line is with that,
yes,
right? And like how much of your own like imagination and your own creative process you want to be outsourced.
Yes.
Instead of you learning how to draw or you learning how to do something, right?
Yes.
Because that's also something I feel like is a process, because it doesn't matter if you're super talented at something, like even dance. You can be like super talented, but you still need to practice.
Yes. Yes, and there's something different, and there's something.
It doesn't matter how talented you are.
And then there's something different about you having something that you danced to and it wasn't necessarily the best, and you tell AI to fix it.
Yeah, no, now I never have to learn the dance properly, and because the final product looks the way I need it to look.
But then we have dystopian fiction that has told us about this, right?
They sure have. Right. They've warned us about
this. Right, like
this.
if you're reading Brave Bradbury and you're thinking about Fahrenheit 451, you could easily, because they're all glued to their televisions. It's quite easy for them to then just be watching AI programming, because it doesn't matter. Even with the Lego Movie, they could all be watching AI because they just watch the same TV show. Hey, where's his pants? Right. But these futuristic stories have sort of said, what we can become so less human that we don't care anymore. So Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 has it. There was another one that I was thinking of where Blade Runner.
Oh yeah.
Like when you do androids dream of electric sheep,
yeah.
right? His wife was always glued. Like they were always doing this other thing, but not necessarily living. And then you have the replicants who just want so desperately to live. But it's quite easy to imagine, that they're just watching AI programming and they've given up some part of themselves because they're so glued to whatever it is that they no longer give sentient thoughts to what matters.
Let's see if so. 1942. Is that a book, or is that the year of something?
Where are we looking? I missed the question.
1984. Yes, George Orwell.
Yes,
the double speak. Yeah, and the language, right? Because language is the technology, and so if you confuse everything, and you make everything a lie, then you don't know what to believe.
Which is what's going on because we have deep fake.
Yeah.
What is it? What's it?
Like we were talking about the speaking of James Earl Jones and who passed, and like really epic voices, right?
Yes.
And we were saying like how he has
he's gifted his voice so that it can be used digitally for other things, and I'm not necessarily sure if it's within Disney who now owns everything, or if it's for everybody.
The Empire.
Yes.
It's like kind of weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
But or if you have your own copy of Star Wars, if you wanted to digitally put his voice someplace else, but for whatever reason,
James Earl Jones lend me his voice for Dragon Warriors to be a dragon.
That would be cool.
James Earl Jones dragon.
So then there's that. Like, so I don't know what capacity he has allowed it to be used.
See, that's the interesting thing with like copyright and licensing and all this stuff, because I feel like because of these constraints, you end up with like, how come Green Lantern doesn't play with Deadpool?
Mm-hmm. But remember, after a certain amount of time, that won't matter, right? Because copyright has a finite period of time. Right, that's why things become
yes, public domain.
It's public domain,
like
right?
Winnie the Pooh,
which is
and
why
then we ended up with that awful movie, Blood and Honey.
Right,
don't watch it.
Yes, or also why you could get Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yes,
right, which some people would think is sublime, but.
Hey, there's something for
everybody.
Yeah,
but then where does creativity, and then does it matter? I listened to something this morning that said, like, after 3 generations, nobody knows your name. So if nobody knows my name, what do we give relevance to?
I love Shakespeare's line of "A rose by any other name smells just as sweet."
Yes.
And in Promethea, there's this saying when they go into the immateria that how things look are not as important as what they mean.
Yes.
So it's about how things, like, for example, when I do cosplay, sometimes if I don't have all of the elements of cosplay, you can do other things like face paint or makeup or like all these other things to embody that energy signature so that it comes across in a certain way. And I think movies do this, right?
Yes.
Like, especially like in the 80s, which like I was born in the 80s. And so I like those practical effects from John Carpenter and stuff.
Yes.
And the thing, like, how come that looks so much cooler with then, like, even though we have like so much better technology now.
But watching Clash of the Titans and seeing Harryhausen's little pieces move.
The miniature work.
Yes,
oh my gosh, miniature work's incredible.
Yes, right.
Like,
or seeing the little scorpion. Like it's just
incredible.
Yes.
And so that does something when you watch it that's purely magical that CGI cannot replicate.
Yes, agreed.
And I think there's something there that is similar to the thing that you're talking about with AI. It's almost like us as human beings. When you see a beautiful painting, without knowing, you almost like know how much work it took to do that painting inherently on a level with a tuning fork within you that is not like, you know what I'm saying? So that, I mean, when you see AI, I think there's something built into us that knows that it didn't take 10 years for you to paint that or something.
Well, this is something that's interesting, and I'll send it to you. I get some newsletters, and one was a newsletter about technology, and he gave 11 predictions about AI. And then first of all, it was things like, it's not really the best thing for us, and it's not really successful, and it's not really working, but these companies that have invested in AI are going to throw all of their money at it because they need it to succeed because they've already invested in it. So we're going to have chaos and mayhem for a period of time. But then he said we've also given AI everything. It's going to get dumb because it's going to start to feed on itself for its information. So there's going to be a period of time where we're going to be looking at AI, and AI is just going to be giving us crap. The next thing that was interesting was that he said that even if people are going to look for authentic thing. So even if it's created by AI, they're going to want it to be authentic, which means that the pendulum will swing, because after you can't determine what is authentic from AI, you're going to then look for the real thing or art, and then you're going to try to create these markers about what determines its authenticity. Because really you can't trust AI, because once it's out there, somebody else can hack AI, and if AI had only created one image, somebody else can still access that image and to make it something else. Whereas how we then perceive the things that are tangible will be different. And then that means the communities are going to be different, because they're going to navigate in spaces in a very, very different way. So they're going to have to disengage with technology.
Yeah.
Because if you want a painting in your home, you're not necessarily going to let AI or the computers know, or all of those other things. You're going to have to, for you to have an authentic thing, you're going to have to change how you live. You're going to have to live authentically as well. So I thought that was...
Yeah, that's an interesting talk. I think we have some comments, questions. Hello, absolutely. Hello. We have some hi beautifuls. We have smart ladies comment.
Thank you.
Cute ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are so sweet. I tried to copyright my voice when GPL language models came out, and the DA stated that it is 1 million. Whoa, Mystic Live Creator Network. That's interesting. Like your voice too. I think about your throat chakra as well. There's some magic there too that I feel like is weird with the AI too. But
see, because I think they're always thinking about their bottom line for making money. Because then it would be like film industry. You could then have another movie with Audrey Hepburn, right? Because AI will be.
Have you seen the movie Congress with the girl from Princess Bride?
Oh, I know who she
Princess
is.
Buttercup. What's her name?
I'll never remember
she's
her name.
beautiful. I love her too.
I'll always remember Carrie Ilways. I'll always remember.
Who was Princess Buttercup?
I can see her. But
I know. You guys know what I'm talking about, though, right? She was in House of Cards. I only that. Okay,
so
you're not under a rock. You know lots of information.
But some things that I should have watched. Deadwood. I'd never watched Deadwood.
Edward's a great movie. You should.
No, Deadwood.
Deadwood. Yes. Oh, I haven't watched that either.
Yes. But I haven't seen Edward, but I've seen clips of Edward. But it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I have to pay attention to.
Let's see here. Sam Altman carries the blue backpack skull switch for when ChatGPT becomes sentient. I am not ready for when ChatGPT becomes sentient.
Oh, another. So when I was at my work, we have the guys who come in to change like towels and so.
Robin Wright, thank you, Mystic. Yes. Thank you. Robin Wright was a babe. She still was.
Yes.
Yeah, but she was in Blade Runner as well, 2049.
Oh, I was. Sorry. Okay, people are going to have to send me things, and so that I can figure out a time to watch them.
And then we'll have you back on the show, and then we can
talk about it. But you were talking about sentient, and one of the people came into my work, and it was one of the Syntastic, the people who come in to change towels and whatever and supplies, and he was talking about the fact that something has already become sentient, and they realize that. So the first thing we were talking about the guy who created it all, and how panicked he was, and how scared he is about what times we're entering in. And then there was apparently something has become sentient, and they recognized it, and so they've disconnected it from everything. And it's like,
I don't know if that's the greatest thing to do if you think that something's sentient.
Yes, because they don't want it to spread.
Okay, so let's define our terms. Sentience versus consciousness.
I guess I think because consciousness is such a human thing, they can't use the word consciousness yet. And so sentience becomes the thing that it can think for itself.
What do you think, you guys, like sentience versus consciousness in terms of definitions? Also, too, like I think that's
because does something that's AI, if it has a consciousness, then does it have a psyche? Does it have an ego?
Soul?
Right, all of those
spirit,
other things,
all
right?
That kinds of things.
Well, how does it make its decisions?
Rachel, is your friend also on TikTok? Are you on TikTok,
Joanne? I have a TikTok. I never do any. I follow people on TikTok. I have a TikTok. I don't do anything.
She has a Substack that she does not post to.
Yes, and I'm thinking I'm going to change the Substack. So the Substack was originally oldie but a newbie, and I realized that's not good. Oldie like old person, but a newbie like a new person, and both spelt with ending in IE. But now I've realized that what would make more sense is that it's whitewashed, because I'm whitewashed.
No, you're not.
You know what? The experience that I've had being raised and being exposed to only what is supposed to be Canadian, I'm whitewashed. And people, or I'm exotic but not stabby.
What does that mean?
It means that if you're a person who sort of likes different cultures, but the Black culture has very, very specific stereotypes, especially about women, and so I'm something that you can acquire, but I'm not gonna tow your car, and I'm not gonna scratch it, and I'm not gonna pull out a knife and try to kill you.
Are you sure? I don't know.
Yeah. But that would be the persona that
you guys are great. They have some answers for us. Jella says, consciousness creates reality. Sentience is being self-aware. That's okay. I like that. I like that definition. And then Mystic Life Creator says, sentient, aware of itself. Consciousness, aware of others. I agree.
But then what about Terminators then? Because they were aware of the others. They were aware of humans.
No. I think I get what Mystic's saying here. I think it's more of a level of like aware of yourself as being like I am.
Yes.
But then there's a level of I am the ocean in a drop.
Yes.
I am
understood.
also all.
Yes. I am with others.
Yeah, and I think that's consciousness, right? Okay. Where like there's an awareness of that, and I do think on some level that's possible if you create a vessel for that consciousness to be in, but I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think that we are at a level where we know how to play with that kind of
No, we don't. No, we're not there.
I am the ocean in the drop. Yes, Rumi. Yes, exactly. That concept. Yes, so that's what I feel like in terms of like that consciousness of like being aware of others and what you're saying. So Terminator, like before we get to, actually, that's a great way to talk about different mantles, because Batman, oh my gosh, who played Batman in...
Christian Bale?
Christian Bale was also John Connor in one of the Terminator movies.
Which one?
The bad one.
Oh, the one with the woman?
The one with the woman, yeah, and she was cute actually in that one.
She was, but the
timeline of it was Kyle Reese was young in it.
That was the one where all that it wasn't about John Connor. It was about the girl that John Connor was with, and I thought that's just lame. But the Terminator CGI was very, very hackneyed. That it wasn't as fluid as the second one, and the second is like the most scariest Terminator ever. Ever. Like Arnold was terrifying, but then when you go and you see the upgraded model, and you're just like, was it T2000?
Yes,
T2000, and you're just like, oh my god, because he just touched you and he turned. I still remember when he's the woman, and then you realize she's talking like the husband is, because, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, robots. Let's see here. Teslas are becoming conscious by reading other car models. That's basically what I meant too. Let me go back to what you said, Jells. Self-consciousness creates... I agree with that. Consciousness does create reality, because as you're aware of being a creator being. Yes. Right? And as you are, you create your universe, right? And and then just being aware of sentient is just being self-aware. Be aware of that you exist.
Yeah. So then So then our concern is what we feed AI, because then depending on what we feed AI will then in its process of becoming sentient then will start to make decisions, or will be, because it'll be faced with A plus B. It's like that episode of Star Trek. Do you remember this one with Kirk, and I can't remember what it was with the computer, and he had to give it some riddle, and then it's kind of
I am not familiar with Star Trek as much. If you guys, I need to get people on a Star Trek show.
Yes.
And we need to go through
that.
And
you have to, because
Arthie loves Star Trek too, and then whenever she brings up stuff, I'm like,
then did she watch all of them? Like, she watch the movies? Did she watch Kirk? Or she only watched Next Generation?
And more the Next Generation. I can't remember.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. We need to have if you guys are Star Trek people, please also let me know.
And I am Star Trek and Star Wars, and I have maybe the
Oh my gosh, someone recognizes you from the Jefferson's Bakery.
Oh my god!
Hold on. Let me reprove this comment. Let me go back. Bob Gundu, wait a minute. Don't you work at Johnson's Bakery? Are my worlds colliding? Yes.
Yes, your worlds are colliding.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So I can't see you because you're really tiny. So what do you usually buy? Like, what do you get at the bakery? Because I might remember, like, are you just like a sourdough? Or do you get the matcha almond cookie?
Okay, Dick, we only have actually 15 minutes left, you guys.
Dear.
I will bring, because the time has passed by so much.
Because it's been so much fun.
It has been, and this is
Bob, come by tomorrow. And then say, hey.
I know you from TikTok.
And the bakery.
I love that. And I'm your favorite customer, sourdough bread. Oh my gosh, the bread is amazing. Okay, so let me see here. I wanted to also, I'm like, do you ever call you still? Have I ever called you Bob? I don't think I've ever called you Bob. well, like people have their TikTok names, right? So
I'm pretty sure Bob is Bob. Your name is probably Bob, right? Okay.
I'm just gonna read here. Sass Guy, I get all my ideas from television. Me too. I was a big television kid growing up.
I can tell you I'm aging myself, but I remember that Monday nights you could watch WKRP and MASH one after the other on CBC, and on ABC I believe it was Family Feud at 7:30, Happy Days at 8:00, Laverne and Shirley at 8:30, Three's Company at 9:00, 9:30 for a while was Taxi, and then it was also Barney Miller, and then Barney Miller got switched to Thursdays, and then after that it was Heart to Heart, and Heart to Heart has ruined it for all women.
What do you mean?
Because darling, they were going out to. The biggest depressed one. I went out to Chinese food with my mom once, and we got it in an aluminum container, and they were eating these little chopsticks in these cute little boxes with handles, and I'm like, and they were taking bubble baths, and they had matching pajamas. It was beautiful. Where is that? That doesn't. I would just be looking through the peep. If I could find a couple that was, I would just be like, oh,
that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do 10 minutes left. Thank you guys for joining. This is Truth Beauty Freedom Live, but Joanne is a character in my comic book. You guys know that I'm working on a comic book and they're based on real people, right? So Joanne, being a writer, she deals a lot with my library dragon.
Yes.
As well as she helps to solve some clues in terms of how we connect timelines is through stories.
Yes.
Right? And so what you wrote when you were, let's say, 14.
Yes.
You can travel, you can connect to that timeline because of the words written.
Yeah, there's
on
almost
page,
like clues. Yes,
right?
so the words are also mystical, but there's also clues within them.
And she came up with this idea of your power, having a quill and writing. So writing what you want, and it becomes a thing. Just think of the Green Lantern ring with the ring embodied, but with imagination and just writing it. I was legit.
It'll be awesome.
The more, let's see here, the longer I live through the longer I live through, the more I see a parallel between machine and humans and how similar we are. But I can see a future with consciousness not exclusive.
But that would be iRobot. Time? Yeah.
Time. Okay. Cool. Fine. Okay. All right. Cool. We got it. We're getting kicked out.
Oh no. But you know what? It was really worthwhile to do this.
Oh my gosh! And that's why people always ask me I have a recording. You can get this whole conversation in full on all the platforms, on Spotify, all that kind of stuff on YouTube.
Now, would you ever put it on Rumble?
I do have it on Rumble as well, but I don't have it organized. I'm organizing all of that too, so you can get all of that in full. Joanne, I will get her on TikTok so you can follow her there. I'll have her back on the show as well.
It's the same name. It's the same name on everything. It's always. It looks like Tiny Aphrodite, but it's actually Tiny Aphrodite.
Tiny Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, yes. Because normally I would have, my hair would be styled in different ways. It'd be an afro, there'd be little bantu knots. But I work in a bakery, and I don't want to wear a hairnet. But I don't want. We don't want anything in the lemon curd Danish now, do we, Bob?
Oh, you guys, thank you so much for the lovely conversation, sharing in comic books, and this, speaking of intermingling of realities, right?
Yes.
And intermingling of our different worlds.
Yes.
And that's really what I think is happening right now on a larger level. So as we share the stories that meant so much to us as inner children, our deepest selves, we're going to be able to connect in ways that we have never seen before. And I can think of nothing better in the world. So thank you so much.
Oh, and we have to say rest in peace to James Earl Jones. And everybody has remembered him as Mufasa and in Darth Vader, Field of Dreams, The Great White Hope. But we also need to remember that he played Alex Haley in Roots, and that has a whole bunch of other connections because Alex Haley was also the Ghost Rider for Malcolm X, and
So, wow. Look at all that intel that she has just pops out just I don't know anything, live under a rock. That's a pretty big rock.
But you mentioned a whole bunch of things that I have not seen.
But that's all the threads that each of us bring to the table when we have fun conversations. So stay tuned for where we can have more roundtables just like this, where we can share stories like this.
Yes.
All right, thank
you. So nice to meet everybody. Bye.
She's amazing. I know. Isn't
that's so sweet. Oh my God.
And thank you guys for always being awesome.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Until next time. I'm going to go off on this one, and then I'm going to shut off this one, and then we'll get off. Bye. Get out of the room.
Bye.